Hi, and welcome back to another Amazon selling video. This is my most favorite time of the year because Q4 is weeks away and it is the best time of the year, especially for an Amazon seller. So if you don't know what Q4 is, just a quick reminder, it is the last quarter of the year, so it stands for quarter four. So businesses chop their year up into quarters, so 3 months is a quarter. I mean, there might be some wonky businesses out there who do something different, but for the most part, 3 months is a quarter. And so Q4 standard typically is that holiday time period. So October, November, December make up Q4. Then, January, February, March, Q1, and on and on. So Q4, holiday time period when everyone is shopping and everything is selling on Amazon. And most sellers make most of their money during Q4, and that includes myself. So last year I set a crazy goal, just made it up off the top of my head. So now this year I'm going to have to do a little bit better thinking to make a different goal. But anyways, last year my goal was $100,000 in sales and at least $30,000 profit or better. You guys, I crushed my goal. I shocked even myself. I almost made my goal in just December alone. I'll show you that in just a second. But how I ended up with Q4 2022 was $168,000 in sale, over $44,000 in profit. This is profit, money in my pocket after I paid Amazon, after I got my cost of goods back, after I paid for shipping the items, either FBA or FBA or FBM. That is what profit is. It's your money left over. $44,000. So that translates into $14,666 of profit a month or $3,142 of profit a week. I mean, what could you do with that money, right? Like, I go on vacations, but what could you do with that money? So all August long, I am doing a Q4 prep series. So if you missed last week, you can go ahead and check it out. I have a playlist on my channel, which is Q4 2023. So check it out there. There may be some old videos there that I'm going to add from last year because there's never enough prep that you could do. So there may be some old ones, but last week's video is definitely there as well. Now, believe it or not, starting in February and March, I get the question, how can I prepare for Q4? There isn't a whole lot that you can do in the beginning half of the year to prep besides getting ungated in brands and categories that you need to get ungated in. So you can stretch that out. You can start doing FBM. There's things like that. But other than that, there's not a whole lot you can do to prep for Q4 until it starts to roll around. So we're in August, which is the ideal month to start prepping for Q4, getting your mind right, getting your calendar set, getting everything ready. So I'm going to go over the odds and ends of things that you can prep for Q4 right now this week. The very first thing you can do to prep for Q4, which is what I will also be doing this week, is going through your supplies. So your poly bags, your boxes, your tape, everything that you need to pack a shipment, either FBA or FBM, you want to have those supplies on hand. Stock up and order poly bags right now. Order more than you probably think you're going to need, because I promise you're going to sell more than you think you're going to sell. So you want to make sure you have that on hand. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty rural out here, so it takes a week for me to get stuff even from Amazon. So I don't really have time to wait a week for my polybags to arrive if I run out of polybags, right? So I order a ton of stuff right now, and then I'm going to do it again in December unless I run out sooner than that, because obviously your supplies are a business expense. So at the end of the year, you want to take advantage of as much as you can the write-off for this tax year, which is why you order all your stuff. If you make a lot of profits during Q4 and you want a reinvestment in your business, that helps take your your tax liability down, all those business expenses. So things you want to consider, but you definitely want to stock up on supplies now. I would highly recommend getting some large poly bags because a lot of toys are really big this time of year, and some sellers are scared of big toys and big things because they don't want to prep it and send it. That means there's less competition. That means you can make more profit quicker because there's less people selling on it. So I Love Supplies is a poly bag. They make poly bags. They do make large bags. I can't say that I'm a fan of them. They were not the best. I do have them because I ordered them, and I think I ordered 1,000 of them. So I have them and I'm going to use them, but I don't know if I'm going to reorder them. But that is one place to look for poly bags. I'm still a fan of Spartan Industrial poly bags. I get them on Amazon. There's a lot of different sellers, so just look for the Spartan Industrial poly bags. They come in like a pack. All of my supplies are always listed on all my video show notes, but they're on my Amazon page. But I started out when I got the multi-pack, but now I just order the sizes because I tend to use more sizes than others. I use 6x9, 8x10, and 9x12 the most often, and then I get into like 11x14 for things like Starbucks cups and tumblers and stuff that are a little bit bigger. But those smaller sizes are actually the sizes I use the most. No matter what size, you want to make sure you are stocked up on poly bags. If you can't find a poly bag to fit your big item, you can also use clear recycle bags. I got some off Amazon, but I'm sure you can also find them at any grocery or Walmart, any kind of store like that. They're just a clear bag. They often have a drawstring. I cut that off, but the thing you're going to need is these suffocation warning stickers. So make sure you get those from Amazon and be prepared. I got them. I very rarely use them, but I have had to use them. I think it was 2021 or 2020. I'm not sure, but there was like this big, I think they're called Nana dolls or something. It was like a big fluffy carrying case. It barely fit in that clear trash bag, but I did end up using them for that, so I've had them since then. If there's any tools, like shipment packing tools that you need, now's the time to order them if you've been thinking about you need it. So I've said this in many a video, but I'm still using my same USB scanner that plugs into my laptop that I got when I started. It makes a lot of noise when it's sitting the wrong way. It's like if I have it sitting. So I often unplug it when I'm not using it like at the time, and then I'll plug it back in when I need it. It's been time for me to upgrade to a Bluetooth one. So I'm actually going to order that one this week because if you hear me talk about how I need it again, it's kind of embarrassing. I need it. I've needed it. So I'm going to go ahead and get it. Last year I got a box resizer tool. It's pretty cheaply made. It keeps falling apart. However, when I tape it and hold it together properly, it does the job really well. It actually makes cutting down boxes for FBM look still professional. You really don't ever want to cut boxes down for FBM if you don't have to, but if you do have to, make sure you're using the box resizer because it still looks nice and clean and not janky. So I also use it, I just used it this week on my FBA shipments to cut those box sizes down so that they fit more securely and I don't have to shove a bunch of stuff in there, making them, fit better. So no matter what that tool is that you've been thinking about it, I'm sure you have it on the top of your head, go ahead and order it and make sure that you're prepared for Q4 and that you have it. Supplies for FBM. Believe me, if you heard me say it last year and you didn't do it, I want you to do it this year. FBM is so profitable. Most of my profit comes from FBM, and you guys, I don't even do it all that much. I would say I've never really gotten to 20% of my business is FBM, but definitely 40% of my profit over time has been FBM. So you guys want to FBM. Now here's the deal on the supplies. So the post office, USPS, you can get free supplies from the post office. Think those padded flat rate envelopes. So order those for free from the post office. You can also get priority shipping boxes for free. I'm not talking about the flat rate. That's a very clear distinction that you want to make. But they do have non-flat rate free priority shipping. They come in 6x7x7 and 12x12x10. There might be a few other ones, but those are free boxes you can use anytime you send something priority mail. So it does have to be sent priority mail postage, but you can use a free box, which is a huge cost saver when it comes to boxes. Now, with UPS, you can also order free supplies. I have been using free labels from UPS for the last year at least. So all you do is open a free business account at ups.com and then you can order supplies. So I order the labels from there. They work for my Rollo. They work for any thermal printer. You can get them on a roll or you can get them flat folded. You can also order free cardboard boxes. So they are like yay big. I think they're 9x12x3, and then there's one that's like 9x6x3. So they don't fit like really big things, but they might fit the majority of your stuff that you're going to send out. So definitely take advantage of those. Here's a screenshot of what they look like. You can't actually see the photo of it. on the website, but when they come, they are these boxes, and they're called security boxes on UPS. So the only thing I can't get from free really is FN SKU labels, because those are smaller labels, so those I have to order. I also get them, I get the Spartan Industrial ones. I think that's what they are. I think that's what the sticker is, but all my stuff is linked below. I will show on the screen here what I actually get. But you want to take advantage of all those free supplies that you possibly can. After supplies, the next best thing you can do to prep for Q4 is capital. Make a plan for your money. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you how much money you're going to need, but it's going to be more than you probably think you need because you're going to sell more than you think you will. The number one thing that every new seller after their first Q4 says is they ran out of inventory. They ran out of money or they ran out of inventory, which is, both, right? If you don't have money, you can't buy more inventory. Things sell. Everything sells, and it sells fast. And if you do not have the capital to keep sending more in, or the capital to send a bunch in the beginning, you are going to run out of stock probably by the beginning of December, and your Q4 is going to be over basically right when it got rolling. So you want to have a plan for your money. That may look like you don't take out any profit for 4 to 3 months or whatever that looks like for you. And then at the end of the year, obviously you have all your profit left over and you can celebrate and do whatever with your profit, but it might mean that you save and keep that money in your business so that you can keep having more inventory. A lot of people ask if they should buy stuff now and hold on to it for Q4, and I'm never going to tell you to do that. My answer will always be no. We can assume, we can guess, we can think we know what's going to sell, but we don't actually know. So, perfect example right now, if you've been to Walmart while they're redoing their shelving for Q4, there's a lot of toys on clearance. Not only that, those are almost all the toys I've seen on clearance are new toys from last year. So what that means is they didn't sell enough last year to validate that they should be on shelf in the plan for this year. So like example, Avatar. It was a new movie last year, and so they had a lot of toys, and maybe you were like, oh, everyone loved the first movie, this one's going to be huge. I'm pretty sure the movie ended up being a big dud, and thus the toys never really took off. The year before that, I think it was the Buzz Lightyear movie. Those toys have been on clearance forever. And so that movie also, I guess, was a little bit of a dud. I'm not totally sure why. I love Toy Story. I haven't seen it yet, but anyways. So that movie was a little bit of a dud. The toys, I think they thought it was going to be great. It didn't end up being that great. And so the toys have been on clearance, again, forever. Sorry if I just spit at the camera. You are running your own business. You have your own capital and money and all that. So you can do whatever you want to, but I never recommend holding on to something and hoping that it sells for more later. So what happens in this Walmart example where everyone, where all the stuff is on clearance and you're like, oh, cool, I can get it for cheaper. It's making me even more money, right? That's how I would be thinking. But then there's the other sellers, those price tanking sellers who are like, cool, I have more room to drop the price. And so what happens is everyone starts to match that dropping of the price. And now that clearance item might take months and months to come back up because you might think when you see it on clearance, oh, it's not going to be available anymore. But all these other sellers bought it too and they have it available and they keep dropping the price. And that means now you've bought this item and it's tanking in price and you're kind of stuck with it and you've tied up that capital now in this dud of a product. If you buy it right now on clearance, sell it right now on clearance. Don't hold it and hope that it'll go up because it most likely won't. If you're going, actually anytime you're going to buy stuff, if you think maybe you're going to hold it, use Keepit to tell you. You can see in Keepit how it did last year if it's a seasonal item, or you can see in Keepit the trend right now. Are there an uptick of sellers? Is the price slowly degrading? You can hope that it's not going to do that, but if you see it happening, you would be kind of a fool to assume that you know better and that it's going to be like, oh, they'll drop off. In reality, what's going to happen is it's going to keep going down and new sellers are going to keep coming on it and that product's going to take a long time. So do what you want to do, but I never recommend holding products. I recommend, and what I do, I buy the stuff now, I sell the stuff now, I get the profit now, I buy more stuff, roll it, snowball that stuff, make more money. Okay, so everything sells during Q4. everything. Here is a snapshot of my categories that I did last Q4 so you can see what I'm talking about. I do tend to focus on toy a lot, but I'm not just selling toy. So my profit's really high here because, again, of my toy bundle that I did, but toys is a good category. It's a category I focus on a lot during Q4. But not to be forgotten are the home category, grocery category, beauty, health and personal category, kitchen, home, all of it. All the other categories, things are still going to sell. Everyday things are going to sell. Seasonal things are going to sell. Literally everything is going to sell. If you don't believe me, ask another seller. I promise everything sells. And I understand that that's kind of vague and ambiguous when you don't know what is everything. It's literally everything. I'm sure you've heard in like an aisle, if a parent and a child were in the toy aisle with you, for example, I hear it all the time, where they either say you gotta wait for your birthday or you gotta wait for Christmas. Ask Santa. You start to hear it actually during the summertime. Maybe that's because the kids are in the aisle more, but you start to hear that more and more. And so there's a reason people are ready to spend money. They make their children wait. We're like bread for this holiday of spending, and we do. Now, in the beginning of the video, I gave you my numbers and I gave you averages. So I want to show you now how I did every month of Q4 because it is a buildup. It's slow in October, and by slow, it's not all that slow, but it's slower compared to December in October, a little bit better in November, and then finally you have December as your big month. Don't write off January. Keep sending product in all Q4. Don't stop sending product in. Don't stop sending toys in. Toys sell year round. The only things you want to stop sending in is around December 1st. You maybe don't want to send in any Christmas specific. So I'm talking holiday napkins, holiday plates, holiday specific candy, even though those can sell in January. You want to stop sending in that kind of stuff because it needs to get to the customer in time, and in all likelihood by the time it gets checked into Amazon, by the time it sells and ships to the customer after December 1st, you're kind of risking it not getting to the customer, not being available to sell until after the holidays. So that's the only stuff you want to stop sending in, but everything else, keep sending in your products as normal. So here's my sales for October 2022, I did $28,000 in sales, and my profit was just under $6,000, so $5,971. So pretty good month, honestly. My ROI is not great. I don't totally remember what happened with that month. Also, just a note why you shouldn't just let sellers tell you their gross numbers, because gross sales don't mean anything. I bet you would assume that I made way more than $5,900 on $28,000 of sales. But if I'm not showing you my profit, you'd be assuming wrong, right? So just always ask. I'll always tell you my numbers. Ask people their numbers. So what's your profit on that? Because you can't really gauge what that number means without the actual profit. Anyways, so my November, $53,000 of sales for $15,000 profit. So you can see we're getting better and better as the months go on. Then we get into December, and I did $86,000 in sale. It's kind of crazy to me, even today, that I did almost my whole goal right in December. So $86,000 of sales, almost $23,000 of profit in December. So if you run out of stock in early December, you're going to be missing out on the best-selling month of the year. That's why you need some kind of plan. Whatever that plan might be, you need a plan for your capital because you're going to want as much capital as possible. If you're limited on funds, make sure you plan accordingly. So that might mean you don't make risky buys. You're making sure everything has a decent rank and you're not going too deep on any one item, because if you tie up your capital in a dud of a product and you spend a lot of money, you're going to be hurting for Q4. The same rules apply when buying stuff for Q4 as the rest of the year. So it needs to have a rank, it needs to make a good profit, whatever yours is. So mine is $5 and 50% ROI. That's what mine needs to make. I don't change that for Q4. The only thing I really changed during Q4 is will go a little bit higher in ranks than I normally do throughout the year, because everything's selling, so things are selling faster. So for toys, I'll go up to $300,000 to $350,000 rank in toys. For home, I'll go up to that same rank. For like, you can get buying office supplies with $100,000 because it'll really still sell. So there are different ranks for Q4 that you can go into, but I'm not going into the millions. I'm not buying things that don't have a rank. I'm not guessing. I'm not assuming that I know it's going to sell. I'm using data to help me make my buying decisions. Even I, last year, ran into funding, issues. So granted, I have high limit credit cards that I use for my business, and I spend highly. So last year, it was not unusual to spend $8,000, one store, one purchase. The biggest one I did was $12,000 I spent on one purchase in one store. So you can see how my credit cards might be getting a little bit maxed out. And I was like, this is a lot of money I'm spending. So I still even check myself and make sure I have money to buy everything else. It will not be unusual for you, if you have the funding, to spend $3,000 at one Walmart and then go to another Walmart and spend another $1,000 to $2,000. It will not be unusual. So you want to make sure that you have as much as you have. You will have FOMO. Even I get FOMO. If you can't spend a lot of money, you have limited funds, just know that that's what your limits are, right? Like, I can't go spend $40,000 on something, a bunch of inventory. So I'm not going to even worry about that. So you have to do whatever in your, funding what the money you have. So don't freak out if I'm saying $3,000 and you're like, Nikki, I couldn't possibly. Whatever that number is for you, just know it's not going to be unusual for you to find a lot of stuff, which is why you want to have a capital plan in place. Now, I do not recommend going out and getting credit cards, going into debt, going and getting a loan, any of that. I pay off all my credit cards. I never carry a balance. I pay them off every month. So I did pay off that $20,000 credit card, sometimes in the, parking lot of the store before I go spend it some more. So I'm not going into debt on these things, and I would never recommend you do either. So you want to have that capital plan in place. The best advice I can give, because I can't tell you, you need X amount of money, is to continue to roll profit over, to stop pulling out profit if at all possible. If you don't need that money to pay your bills, keep that money in your business, keep rolling it over. Here's a snapshot of my most profitable items from last year. And besides the first one, which is my toy bundle that I made, tested it out, made it all on my own, that is my most profitable item, but everything else is actually Bolo leads, or most of it, not everything, leads shared from the Bolo group. So the Q4 Bolo group is just a couple weeks away from opening. It will be open on August 27th for the year. It's only going to be open for 3 weeks, so it's very limited time. It's limited number of spots in it. If we either hit the third week or we reach 200 people, the Bolo group will be closed for the year. And it goes all year long. So we've got September, October, November, December to share bolos. We also hang out and chat. We talk on Zooms. So it's Zoom. Everyone chats, asks questions. Everyone's answering questions. It's not just me. I'm leading it, but it's not just me giving the advice. I learn so much myself in the group, so I know you will as well. So stay tuned for that. It's opening very soon, and you won't want to miss it. One of the great things about Q4 is that the price sinking that happens throughout the rest of the year is really minimal during Q4 because things sell so fast. If you didn't hear me, for those in the back, everything sells during Q4, but stuff sells so fast that those price tankers just fall off, and so the price bounces back up. So you don't really notice as much price tanking during Q4, which is really awesome. And also another reason why you shouldn't lower your price, because you're going to sell out fast and you could have made more money if you just left it for another day or two. There is one caveat to that, though. Some toys and things like, Black Friday deals do tend to tank and don't come back. So I unfortunately fell into that hole last year. I bought a lot of toys during Target, specifically Q4 Black Friday sale, and some of them were toys that I had bought earlier when they were on sale, so I knew they sold, and some of them were just toys that made good money, and I thought, okay, great, I'm going to order 10. I mean, even 10 is what I'm talking about on Going Deep. It doesn't take a lot to tie up your money. So I went a little crazy. I had FedEx here every day with like 3 or 4 boxes, all Q4, and so my Black Friday my Black Friday purchases, those haunted me all the way until April of this year because everything else was selling, so I didn't necessarily notice that these things were slowly tanking. I could have probably dropped my price and cut out earlier, but I just didn't pay attention to it. So come like February, when I finally realized, why do I still have this stuff in stock? And oh, that's why, because it's like making no money. I would be losing money. So I started to take action on them, but even still, I liquidated a bunch of it in April, and that dragged my profit, my ROI, my margin down all the way through April. So you don't want to go deep in anything, especially watch out for those Black Friday sales deals, okay? That is a mistake I made last year, and one I am not too keen to do again this year. In my retail arbitrage guide for Q4, which is available for sale on my website, I break down all of the sales and the best time. I break down the times to stop sending shipments, FBA, what I've sold in past Q4, so you can physically know what I was selling, so you can have an idea of what to look for. I break down the different sales that happen throughout the year, how to read the advertisements, how to figure out which is the best deals, because there are a lot of sales that I do shop and that do make a lot of profit, but you have to know how to read those sales and how to identify those products. Honestly, that retail arbitrage guide to Q4 is like a mini beginner course. It has so much information on retail arbitrage in general. So if this is your first Q4, definitely take a look and see if that is something that you want to invest in for your business. Because every year I go through it, and every year I just can't believe how much information is jam-packed into that little guide. It's a PDF, so you can read it anytime you want to. Again, it's available at yoursellingguide.com. Stay tuned, because that Q4 group is opening very soon, and I can't wait to see you there. If this is your first Q4, pop into the comments and ask any questions you have. If this is not your first Q4, pop into the comments and let us know, what did you do, or what do you do to prepare now for Q4 after having learnings from past Q4s? I would love to know, and so everyone can read and just get a conversation going there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will be back next week with another Q4 prep series to help you prep for your best Q4 yet.